Hello, welcome back. Today we're going to do assignment number 8, evaluating functions. There's two calculators I'm going to use today. There's the one on the left, which is the one I have on my phone, Calculator X app, and the one on the right is the Regents calculator that you'll be given. So first, let's review reading a graph. Basically, what they're going to do is give you an X value, for example, 10 seconds, that's the X, and they want a Y value. So you go to the Y-axis, and your answer would be 4 feet. Similarly, let's say they want 12 seconds, that's another X value. You plug in 12, you go to the Y-axis, and you get your Y value of 1 foot. So basically, today we're going to be plugging something in and getting something back out. But instead of using a graph, we're going to be using an actual function. Function notation would be f of x. So f of x is just the name of the function. X is just the variable that you're going to be plugging into. So the first number they want you to plug in for x is 3. So all I have to do is replace x with 3, and I bring down the plus 7, and I evaluate in my calculator, and I get 10. The example to the right, instead of -3, we're just going to plug in -5 to the same function. I replace x with -5, throw that in the calculator, and I get 2. There's another way to do these examples, and that's with the y equals button. That is a button on the top left of your calculator. If you're using y equals, you use x. Don't plug in any numbers for x, just put an x. Then you hit second graph, which will get you to the table, and you go to wherever you want to go in the x column. So I wanted to see what's the y value when x is 3. Well, that's 10. Same thing with the -5. The y value was 2. So it doesn't matter how you solve these on the home screen or in y equals, you'll get the same answer. So let's try another one. They give you f of x is 4x plus 5. I'm looking to see what happens when I plug in -3 for x. So there's the x. So if I'm using the home screen, instead of x, I put -3. Now 4x is really 4 times x. I'm using parentheses for multiplication. And I just hit enter, and I get -7. If you're going to use y equals, you type this in with x, so you have 4x plus 5. You hit second graph, and you look to see -3 in the table in the x column, and you still get -7. Next example, we're going to be using fractions. It's still kind of like math num up. We hit the math button, we go to num, and it's n over d, which I have highlighted in gray, numerator over denominator, and that'll get you a fraction. So here's our example, very crazy, complicated looking function, but the number they want you to plug in is 8. So there's 2 places to plug in x, so I just plug in 8 2 times. If you're using the calculator app on your phone, it looks just like that, with your x values plugged in twice right over there. If you're going to use y equals, you type this in with the letter x. Y equals requires the letter x. And you go to the table, and I'm looking to see where x is 8, and I get 27 as my answer. So either use the home screen method on the left or the y equals button on the right. Okay. Here's a weird looking one. Instead of the letter x, they have the letter n, and they're asking which statement is true. So choice 1 says if you plug in 3, you'll get -2 as your answer. Choice 2 says if you plug in -2, you'll get 3 for your answer. So let's investigate. I'm going to be using my home screen. I replace n with 3. There's 2 places to do that. I use parentheses for the last one because that's multiplication. For choice 2, I'm plugging in -2. There's 2 places to do that. If I'm using the y equals button, I plug in the function. Instead of n, I use x. There's 2 places to put x, so please do that. And then I hit second graph, and I look at the table. So basically, I can see clearly which choice is correct and which one is incorrect. When I plugged in -2, I got 3. When I plugged in 3, I got 13. So 13 was not the number I wanted to see, so that would be incorrect. 3 was the number I wanted to see, so that means choice 2 would be my answer. So now you're going to work on some practice problems, and good luck.